is a fact-based matter. It requires learning, experience, gathering of information, an education, looking for solutions after analyzing. What is contributing to new knowledge rather than repeating? Now, here are some critical questions. I'm going to lay them out for you so you have things to think about after this presentation is over. So these are thought questions. One, what is new knowledge in the academic context of writing a MA or PhD thesis that makes a contribution to the field in which one works? What is an academic paper and what is the process of their being published when they are accepted for publication? What are some main methods for the creation of new knowledge? Some people say there is nothing new under the sun. Well, you might inquire, in what sense is this right, and in what sense is it wrong? What are the conditions under which new knowledge may arise? What are the criteria by which one may identify new knowledge? So we segue from the question, what is new knowledge and what is merely repeating, to the question, what is it to be a genuine scholar who contributes to new knowledge? Contributing to new knowledge and making a contribution to the field of study are phrases upheld by all universities of good qualities. I remember when I finished my PhD at the University of London, I discovered that each dissertation had to be accompanied by a statement that this is a contribution to new knowledge. This is something that is certified as a publication by the university. I think that's what all colleges aspire to, that their graduates will contribute to the field. This implies that a dissertation with new knowledge may not be derivative, that is, depending entirely on the work of other scholars to which one's name is simply attached. It also implies that materials discussed have been analyzed, that is, divided into parts, each part discussed thoroughly, and synthesized, brought together in a coherent way. This means that one may not simply copy and paste Buddhist sutta or other authoritative texts and then stop, as if the whole research topic is decided by copy and paste. Let's ask, why do people write academic papers? There may be a variety of motivations. I think one good reason to write academic papers is to influence opinion by making a clear thesis and rational argument, hoping to make positive change in the world. That could be promoting a beneficial cause such as Buddha Dhamma, ecological awareness and action, world peace, youth counseling, and so on. But some people write out of the ego mind, wishing to be powerful and influential. But writing with feelings of I and mine, instead of with the community and others in mind, will be perceived as unworthy. It's a good practice to examine your mind, because writing with a good intention will bring great benefit to the world, but writing with an egocentric focus will have limited value. More specifically, what do you want to achieve in your particular writing? Today, I will not just talk about academic papers and its format, however valuable that may be. I'm going also to introduce you to types of writing that are academic writing and in various contexts, such as book reviews, book chapters, journal articles, and finally, complete books. Where mindfulness matters is where we are when we start. Be aware mindfully in the present moment with bare attention for a while. After clearing your mind of distractions and defilements as best you can, try to find your question of genuine inquiry. That is your debatable question, a question important to you and so worth your time. It will not be settled just by quoting some fact. We hope to arrive at a mindful discovery. Now, there are various ways to arrive at that. Sometimes we arrive at this mindful discovery by paying very careful attention to the secondary sources and Buddhist materials that we contemplate. But sometimes it can happen in unexpected ways. You might wake up in the middle of the night with just the insight that you'd been hoping to find. The debatable question appears from your unconscious mind. Or you might be doing a physical activity like bicycling or running, and suddenly you get the insight that you've been hoping would arise. So there isn't a recipe for getting this debatable question that matters to you. A starting point would be to examine your values, what you are trying to do in life, and then what you are trying to do in this particular kind of writing, and relax into the zone of discovery. In writing academic papers, I think the most important questions: why, what does it mean, how do you know, and what's the evidence? The first two questions, how do you know and what does it mean, reflect particular emphases within philosophy based in epistemological theory, thinking with knowledge, and with semantic and linguistic philosophy in mind with meaning. What's the evidence follows fast upon these focuses. So with academic papers, important questions are why, the question about meaning, the question about knowledge, and the question about evidence. After we think about it and know that our thesis statement is on a debatable question and is meaningful, that is neither self-contradictory nor nonsense, then we can find appropriate evidence. Fact claims can be proven with other fact claims. Conceptual claims can be proven by showing their fit or coherence
Recording stopped.
with other conceptual claims. Okay, a question for the moderator, Dr. Katie. I just heard the message, the recording stops. Should we be concerned about that?
Yes, please let me check.
Recording in progress.
Okay, please continue.
Okay, thanks very much. Here is a data funnel, that is a template consisting of subject, topic, paper title, and thesis. At each level, as if you had a funnel with different types of sand, and at the bottom you were distilling from the rocks and gravel and various kinds of sand what is the residue in essential nature. That would be your thesis sentence. Please notice with me that the thesis statement has to be in subject-predicate form. Many times in working with students, I get phrases that do not have a verb. If the phrase does not have a verb, it does not make a claim. If it's not a properly formed sentence, it cannot be a thesis statement either. So we have to keep in mind that when we move from a big subject, which might be the title of a course or the title of a collection in the Tipitaka, to a topic which might be narrower than that, the paper title, which might be 3 to 5 words, which are going to be later the title of your paper you're working on, and maybe your keywords too, if you are indexing it later, to your thesis. It is a process of making a data funnel. What follows from that is you cannot jump backwards. If my subject is Asian philosophy and my topic is Madhyamaka, my paper title cannot be Indian philosophy. You see, it has to be refined at greater and greater areas of specificity until you get to your thesis claim. The thesis claim can reflect some struggle within the Buddhist development. It could be, for example, a contest between the Theravadan view that surely nirvana is not samsara. Nirvana is the cycle of birth and death, and samsara, nirvana is the process of the end of birth and death, and samsara is that process going around the wheel in the different jati, rebirth stations. That is contrasted with what happens in Nagarjuna's Mula Madhyamaka Karikas in chapter 25, when he maintains that nirvana is samsara. In what sense might that be arguably true? In what sense might the Theravadan thesis to the opposite point be arguably true? Which of these two questions would you care to debate about? Would you want to take a side? Would you want to seek some middle ground? So this is a real question within the larger development of Buddhism. So we shouldn't shirk the hard questions, is what I'm trying to say. And this is indeed a difficult question. I think that we can find debatable questions by talking to our friends, our peers, about what matters to us. We can find debatable questions when we go to Google Scholar and we check out a topic and we find people are taking different points of view. We can find debatable questions when we look at different parts of Sutta or Vinaya Pitaka, and when we compare the Abhidhamma to the Sutta Pitaka, we may find some differences. So we can find debatable questions within our life experience when we talk to others, within Buddhist or other texts, within the original text or primary text and the secondary sources. We can find them in a variety of places. So I would just say be open to finding them. That will make your road a lot easier. You won't sit and ponder too much. You will find them naturally going through your life. We come to the worksheet idea. So the worksheet idea is very helpful if you are going to write an academic paper, whether it be a book, an article, or a book chapter, or I should say a chapter within a collection of papers. So all three of these places, journal article, paper within a collection of papers, and book, have need for organization. I suggest when people ask me, well, how do I find good books, for example? You have some good books on your syllabus, but how do I find them myself? I say, well, go to the library, find the area of the section that has your subject, whether it's philosophy, religious studies, Buddhism, psychology, whatever. And once you're in that section, look for some new books. And if you can know the field well enough to see the classic books, look for some classic books as well. Standard sources. Take everything off the shelf up to about 10 books that relates to the topic you're working on. Put them on a table and then triage them to figure out what's worth reading, what's worth your time. You can do it like this. Look at the conclusion of the book. If the last few pages have a clear conclusion, that's a good index that it's worth looking more. And then look at and you can see this in the table of contents, what is the last page of each chapter? Does the concluding section of each chapter also have an intelligently written, careful thought process that argues that something is true? If all the chapters are well done so that they have some semblance of an argument, at least, it doesn't have to be in numbered steps, just a reasonable summary. If all the chapters have this and the conclusion of the book has it, then you'd put that book on my must-have table, must-have pile. If you find books that have a conclusion of the whole book that makes sense, but the individual chapters are not tightly integrated with that conclusion. You get to the chapter conclusion and it wanders, or it doesn't make much sense, and it doesn't seem to have a direction. Then you might say, well, I'll put that in the middle pile. It might be valuable, but not certain. And where you find books that seem so poorly organized that the author proves nothing, you'd say, well, I don't really need that. That's not going to help my discovery process. So that's how you might do this yourself. I spend a lot of time trying to get good books to put on my syllabi. But when you're investigating your narrowly focused topic, you need to have a method of finding your own good books. I would recommend this. Okay, creating a worksheet is creating a two-part document. The first part is a template. The second is a main argument. A clear and short definition of an academic paper is that it is one that has a clearly identified thesis statement and organized main argument. Let's go to the template, consisting of subject, topic, paper title, and thesis. The subject is the largest category. For example, it could be Buddhist psychotherapy and counseling. The topic is narrower than that. For example, it could be the psychological theories of Sigmund Freud. And the paper title would have to be narrower than that. It could be Freud on the interpretation of dreams. And the thesis would have to be one statement, which is debatable and has an opposite, so that it's going to be important if you make a discovery or not. You could argue for or against Freud. He's not in fashion everywhere in the world. Okay. What would be the main argument? Each premise is by a number, only one sentence, and it must be a full sentence with a verb, usually subject, predicate form, subject, verb, object. And then each premise is interlocked with others. I give an example in one of the parts of this of a venerable who is actually a meditation master who wrote a good argument in my class where, in the past, where the last part of the first premise locks with the first part of the second premise, the last part of the second premise locks with, because the phrase is copied and pasted and finessed with the English language in mind, so that you have a linkage that goes throughout the premises. When you get to the conclusion, it's not a big surprise. The conclusion follows from what went before. The number of premises varies with the context. If you're doing a 5-page paper, probably 4 to 7 premises is a good number. Why? Because if you have fewer than 4, let's say you have 5 pages and 3 premises, you probably have too much space and you will have a hard time filling it with your thoughts to support each premise. But if you have more than 7 premises in 5 pages, let's say you had 10 premises, that means on every page, on average, you'd have to have 2 premises and convincingly argue with reasons and examples for each one. Hard to do, very hard to do. Sometimes we make it difficult for ourselves by having too many premises, and other times by having too few premises. So I'm getting some static now. Who is that? Sorry. Okay. So after the premises, you need a conclusion indicator. That's therefore or thus. And then you insert the thesis from the template by copy and paste. Why I recommend copy and paste is that if what you say you are going to prove is different from what you actually prove, then your logic is not coherent. So the thesis of the template has to be identical with the thesis that logically follows from your main argument. Okay? So what about these numbered steps? The main argument inside the paper relates to these numbered steps. This is pretty much standard analytic format. You can take a look, for example, at James Rachel's book, Elements of Moral Philosophy, and see how in the course of writing a textbook, he also takes points of view of his own, points of view that he recommends, and he gives short, succinct arguments with premises that lock together and entail a conclusion. You can investigate the pros and cons of these arguments concerning such topics as vegetarianism and the like. And you can see which side you're inclined to go with. So this is not just for form's sake that we're doing numbered steps. Before actually writing the paper, it's prudent, it's wise to copy and paste the premises from your main argument and put them in the body of the paper after the first paragraph as section dividers. That way you won't lose your way. You will know, oh, this is the first premise. I have to produce reasons and examples to prove that. And you won't be wandering to something else. And this is the second premise. Now I'll attend to that, and so on. Then when you get to your conclusion, the last paragraph can be easy to do. You're not trying to imagine what did I get? What did I do? No, you just copy left margin rectified, justified. So you put your premises to the left margin in a row with numbers, and then you insert the conclusion indicator, and then you go back and grab your thesis statement from the first paragraph and patch it in here. And everything works very well, and you're not stressed out because you did the necessary planning on the worksheet to get this kind of fluid, flowing, easy result. Okay. The problem comes in that sometime when you're writing papers, you change your mind. So sometimes it's good to change one's mind if the evidence is overwhelming that you missed something and the argument you tried will not work. You don't want to keep going and bury the evidence like the archaeologist who found contrary evidence to his cherished theory, who buries the evidence, right? You don't want to do that. But on the other hand, so I'm seeking a middle way with you on this. On the other hand, you don't want to change too quickly. Persevere, follow up all the avenues. And if you have to change it, fine. But the smart effort, the smart time is seeing it through to the end. Sometimes when you do that, you can figure out exactly the pros and cons of the view you're trying to advocate. So, however many premises you need, this can be more than 5. Let's say you were doing a 20-page paper. Well, it could be that you have 4 sections in there with 5 pages each. You know, Roman numeral 1, 2, 3, 4. And that you can have an architecture, a logical structure for the whole chapter where 4 small arguments feed into an overall argument. That's possible. But if you're going to use this method at all, you have to endeavor to be as logical as you can in every part of your book or in every part of your book chapter or journal article. Now, some journals and some book opportunities and some contributions to books do not want you to produce numbered arguments. The virtue of doing it like this in the first place is that the logic is very crisp, and at the end, you can always delete the numbers if you don't need them. For example, you can create a very logical abstract using this method, but at the end, turn the abstract into paragraph form. Turn your main argument into paragraph form by deleting the numbers. But I would never give up the search for clarity, as much clarity as I can get on a topic. If at the end I don't need the numbers, I can always delete them. But if I work without having the goal of creating a crisp, clear, concise argument, well, you're just contributing to a conversation. You get my drift, contributing to a conversation, but not a conversation that's going to pass the Buddha's requirement that we not contradict ourselves. Remember that? In a particular sutta, he's saying, look, if you want to do Dhamma talk, you have to pay attention and avoid contradiction. If you don't, 3 times, a thunderbolt bearing yakka will smash your skull into 7 pieces. Now, whether that actually happens or not, the idea is if you want to debate, here is the heuristic rule for debate. You have to avoid self-contradiction, at least that. So by using a formal argument structure in part of your writing, you will achieve the goal of being as clear as you can. Now I turn to varieties of academic. How do scholars begin the process of writing a book review? And I'll give you suggestions based on my experience of things you can actually do. For example, by looking at the stacks in a university library, you find your subject field and look through the back issues of journals. With practice, you can spot the best journals, medium ones, and ones where management is operating at a low level of competence. So when you do that, you can then prioritize 2 or 3 journals that you really admire, locate the book review editors on the inside name on the inside cover, or if there is no book review editor, the main editor. Now write this person a carefully crafted letter. Email would be fine. Introducing your academic background in a short paragraph, and then say how very much you esteem and enjoy reading his or her journal. Attach a 1-page CV or resume. You are sure to establish interest in this way. Everyone likes to feel appreciated and praised a little. So if you say, well, look, sincerely, I think your journal is very, very interesting, and I'm available as a book reviewer for your journal. Indicate which sub areas within the field you're interested in reviewing. So if the journal is called Philosophy or Mind, it's a huge area. So what are you interested in? Epistemology? Interested in linguistic philosophy? Phenomenology? What? You have to give them a clue as to where your areas of competence and your areas of specialty really are. So they send you an appropriate book. And then the hook is, at the end of the letter, you directly ask for a book to review. Okay, so you didn't just fill up the page with useless information. Now you say, I want to review a book. Do you have something? Please send it. And then you'll probably get a reply, at least that. It will probably not be a form letter because you've taken the time to explain who you are, that you admire the journal and why, and then ask for the benefit. I want to review a book. So this is one way to think of the process that scholars use to do a book review. First, they do some basic research. They find journals that are worth reading for them. And then they write a personal letter to each editor. You may ask, well, why would people do that? You know, I've reviewed a lot of books in my career so far, and I'm reviewing one that's coming very soon as well. So I keep reviewing books. And somebody asked me once, well, why do you do that? It takes a lot of time, and I don't see what benefit you get. It's not an article, so it's not really going to help you in your promotion or whatever. Yeah, that's right. But guess what? Over time, this is huge. I'll tell you why. One reason is to keep up with the field or fields of greatest interest to you. There are a lot of people in a field, but most of them don't keep up with the field. They have no systematic way of doing that. Maybe they're browsing around in bookstores and occasionally buy something. But if you're a book reviewer for one or more journals, you're very focused. You read stuff before it's on the bookshelf in a bookstore. You're reading the very latest stuff. And so you have things for your students, and you know what you're talking about. Another reason is that once a connection of mutual benefit is developed, a journal editor will send you a free book to review, so you can develop a small library of current books at the same time as you're benefiting the field. This is a service. Yet another reason is to have very modern materials to combine with classic sources you already know to build a dynamic syllabus and classroom engagement. So you owe it to your students to be a perpetual learner. If you're not learning things every year from reading your students' ideas and from input from the best minds who are publishing, you're dead. You're dead in the water because you're tempted to read from old notes. And at worst, you're reading from old notes from your graduate school days. So to avoid even the possibility of that, You need to be a proactive, active learner, reading new things. And being a book reviewer is a surefire way to keep yourself fresh. So again, how do people write book reviews? It's no mystery. Simply put, by contacting the book review editor, whose name is normally on the inside journal front cover, or the main editor if there's no special book review editor. Why might there not be a book review editor? It could be that that journal doesn't do many book reviews. Or it could be that that journal is not large enough to have someone assigned to only that job. There could be various reasons. But overall, most editors of journals are looking for qualified scholars to write book reviews. It's a service to the profession, and there is no payment given or expected. Book reviewers get a free book before it is in the bookstores in many cases. The one I'm going to read next for review is not in the bookstores. I wanted to buy a copy. It's not available, so I have to wait for the publisher's copy through the journal. Okay, let's talk about other varieties of academic English. Again, I'm doing this to share with you that there are many kinds of academic writing, and not all of them are doing papers. Book review is one thing. How about writing a journal article or a book chapter? What's that? What's the process like? Importantly, social networking at conferences and through academic websites like academia.edu or like Phil events gives you opportunities for writing book chapters, journal articles, maybe even books. You have to be proactive and look. Here's a tip. It's common sense, but a lot of people don't think about this. If people don't know who you are, they probably won't take the risk to talk to you. When you're at a conference, have your name badge while you're going around, especially when you go to the publisher's representative hall. At big conferences like the American Philosophical Association Eastern Division or the American Academy of Religion, they have these huge rooms loaded with publishers' reps and their latest books for sale. So it's like a captive audience. You want to find a contact for publishing your dissertation or getting a chance to review a book for a journal. It's all there. All you have to do is screw up your courage and walk up to the rep and say, "Hi, I'm Frank Hoffman. Who are you?" So be a little engaging, you know. And why are you here? "Oh, I represent McGraw-Hill." "Why are you here?" "Oh, I represent MCU IBSC, and I'm reading a paper at this conference." Okay, so you make a friend. You be pleasant. And spend 5 minutes. Try to figure out what they need. So it's not all about me, right? What do you need? How can I help your organization? It's a good firm, McGraw-Hill. You make a lot of textbooks. "Oh, by the way, I just finished my dissertation. I wonder if you're interested in considering whether it would fit your list." So you do that several times in the course of 2 or 3 days at the conference. You're going to come up with good leads for further academic cooperation. An example might be this. There might be somebody like you wandering around the book table looking for new materials. And that person is writing an edited collection of papers. And you rub your shoulders up against that person and see, "Oh, this is Don Swearer from Swarthmore College." I don't think it would be him. He already went to Harvard. But this is so-and-so from such and such university. "Okay, hi, I'm so-and-so from a state university or from Thailand. and try to see in a short time what his interests are. He might be looking for people of good quality to write things for his edited collection. It might take a little while. It's, you have to be willing to tolerate the possibility of no. There's no possible cooperation between us. You have to tolerate that possibility by introducing yourself. Oh, Buddhist studies, I don't want to have anything to do with that. You might explore why. What's wrong with Buddhist studies? I love this field. And maybe you can even get the person interested. But if you don't make the first step in social networking, you can't possibly get the benefit. And after you get an invitation to send a paper or a journal article or a book review, contact them first. They're going to have a lot of people contacting them. They go home with a stack, maybe this big, of name cards. So unless you want to stay in that stack, you should write them an email when you get home. And, oh, remember our conversation? So I'm still interested in reviewing for your journal. Or I'm still interested in thinking of whether and how my research might fit into your collected volume of papers. Well, if it is a conversation you're having with a reputable journal, be prepared to ask questions about their preferences and indicate how you can help fulfill their need. You start from the other end, and then they will start supplying you enough information so you can see whether this could be a useful academic opportunity. Let's say they do decide they are going to do a collected set of papers. And they do decide to work with you. So then by email later, they will probably give you, depending on exactly how forthcoming they are, some details like a table of contents, or you can ask for it for the edited collection, or the names of a couple of big authors they've already recruited. The name of a press, if the book is already on contract. That's something to look out for. Once I spent all summer writing a meticulous book chapter as a contribution to a festschrift, a commemorative volume for one of America's major scholars. The person who extended me the invitation did not have a book contract.
So if
at last, it was a non-starter. He couldn't manage it. He didn't have a contract, and the whole thing fell through. So I had a virtually unusable paper because very hard to fit that into anything else. The smart money is on asking, do you have a contract for your collected papers volume? Do you have a contract for your festschrift? And where, if you do? If they don't, I surely wouldn't bank on that.
If you don't know this,
and by the way, remuneration of contributors to book chapters is usually only a free book. You might make a little money on royalties if you're an established author and you have
knowledge, on the Buddhism, on the
countries in different situations. In America, I think it varies widely, maybe between 7% at the low end and 14% at the very high. And in China, you actually have to pay them, pay the publisher to publish your book, and it's not a vanity press. Try commercial press in Beijing, one of the country's very best. Well, they're really established. They don't need you. You need them. That's the way they look at it. So they're expecting that you will pay their production costs.
I'm not too sure if she can.
But the other way around, it could be
she's not here.
very often a press might give you some royalties. I wouldn't start with that in mind. I would start, if you're a first-time author of a book, I would start with getting to the best press I can.
Let's see. We'll wait for her.
And this is a way to
couple of minutes.
evaluate.
If not, then
You know, the goal of most new lectures or all but dissertation, ABD,
after the three presenters finish,
PhD students, is to line up a book contract for your dissertation with a reputable publisher. And the hierarchy of these publishers is generally, this is my list, but it's not only this. The top would be a university publisher, Yale University Press, Harvard University Press, University of California Press, University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. So you look for the very high ranking university press. And the next rank would be the very top commercial publishers. Rutledge, used to be Rutledge Keegan Poll, now it's Rutledge. You might look at State University of New York Press for Asian Studies and Asian Philosophy titles. And then the mid-ranking university and commercial press. Next, presses that do have quality control, but also require a subvention fee of first-time authors to at least guarantee that they can pay their production costs. They don't want to have a book that doesn't sell at all. And if you're not known, it's possible your book might not sell well enough for they could pay their production costs. So they don't want to be stuck. They ask you for they're not at the bottom. They do have quality control. They'll send your material to some reviewers, some evaluators, usually 3. I learned from Venerable Dharnadip today that he sends his journal articles to an international reviewer and a Thailand reviewer and a local reviewer. So he has quality control for the journal that is a Scopus journal. But some places, they have quality control, but they're so little. The firm is so little. They can't risk losing money on a single book, so they ask you for a subvention. At the very bottom, these are vanity presses, where you pay to publish your book and where there's no real mechanism of peer review that would establish quality control. Now, if you're at a publisher's desk in a big conference hall and you're interested in them, it looks like a nice layout, but you have no idea what kind of press it is, you might just ask them some questions if you suspect that their press might be a vanity press. And then you can make your own decision. Some first-time authors choose to go this route. Others would like at least the D level. They have quality control, but they do ask for subvention. And if the higher you can get up on this rating for your dissertation, the more opportunities are likely, this is a matter of probability, not necessity, are likely to open up for you in the future. I hope this is helpful for you. Okay, how about this? Networking to find opportunities. How do you figure out who's interested in publishing in your area? It used to be true, and maybe no longer now is, I'm not certain, but it used to be true, that the University of Hawaii Press had more interest in East Asian titles than South Asian titles. And of course, it would be true that Motilal Banarsidass been going on a very long time, publishing Sanskrit grammars, histories of Indian philosophy. They would have more interested in the Indian titles. So if you don't know the market, it's smart to try to figure this out. Otherwise, you waste maybe 6 months hoping that a press will want to publish your book when they're not even interested in the first place. Try to discover which presses are most actively publishing in your areas of interest and competence.
I say that, Mom, I am at Sukhumvit Road.
There is where, at the conference book table, information about future conferences, like being on a panel, normally arise just in ordinary conversation.
It's in Bangkok.
If you meet a classmate, they might say, oh, did you hear about this conference coming up in California?
This is a kind of,
or here's a conference coming up at Forest. Did you hear about that?
I didn't think this is the wrong.
You can know about these things through Phil events online. But a better way to find out is through your personal connections at conferences.
Not to do that, even just
now, here's another important feature of publishing. If you're a very well-established scholar, it is not expected that you will also be trendy.
How many years?
But if you are just trying to hold on with your fingertips, right? You're maybe a first-time author and you're just trying to get a start. You have to be aware of the trends because that's how the language of panels within conferences are crafted. The panel organizer wants people to come to their event. If they get fewer than 10, that's not fun usually. If they have a room full of 30, that's pretty good, at least in the American Philosophical Association. So they're looking to fill up the space. They're looking for good dialogue. And unless you have a critical mass of people, you won't have good dialogue. So they construct panel titles that they intend to be attractive to people following the field who would know this trend and would be happy to talk about it. Also, the language is often crafted in very modern ways to attract recent PhDs and young lecturers. Sometimes, if it's a very old guard kind of panel, they might have rather standard titles. The Epistemology of Bertrand Russell, something like that. Okay. So you have to look out for learning this by examining programs and going where people like you, hopefully, who are vibrant and interesting, will be going. Okay. Be aware of your networking environment. I've introduced you to several kinds of academic writing besides the standard paper, and would recommend that you formulate an action plan that's good for you. Going out of this meeting, out of this webinar, you might wish to think about it. Deliberate in order to decide which category of academic writing you want to do soon, and seek out opportunities to talk to scholars and publishers' representatives. From my perspective, doing a book review is low-hanging fruit that you may be able to pick online from your computer in the office, or by just asking a publisher's rep at a conference. Getting an invitation to contribute a paper to a volume of papers is more difficult. So an easy way to start is doing a book review. Using your conference networking time, however, to find opportunities to publish your dissertation is the best use of your time. It's good to bring some copies of your abstract. 1 page is maximum. Your abstract of your dissertation and a 1-page resume, curriculum vitae, your course of life, to give to a publisher's rep. Why? Because a name card is probably not enough. to keep them interested over time. If you do that, you have a better chance of being recognized and communicated with in the future, because the publisher is going to go home with a stack of cards. He might not even remember your name, quite frankly, but give him a resume and an abstract of your dissertation. That's substantive. He knows you care enough to do that.
Very loud. I'm not tired.
So finding opportunities to publish your dissertation is, in my view, the best use of your time if you're an ABD, all but dissertation person. Next in priority is usually getting acquainted with the editor of a high quality and a medium quality journal. I would pick two. I wouldn't just try in a snobbish way just to get in with the best journal. No. You have to be open to establishing yourself. And that may mean laboring in the garden for a while. So have at least one medium quality journal and one high quality journal, so you can start communicating with the editor. And you can easily submit articles to either or both of them, but not the same article to more than one journal at a time. Please remember this. Maybe nobody will tell you, but this is a hot button issue. When you send an article to a journal, the publisher thinks you're sincere and you haven't sent it elsewhere at the same time, right, to another journal.
Especially when you know what
if they're both accepted, you're in trouble. That can ruin your reputation. Oh, so-and-so, he got accepted by our journal, but he also sent it the same time to somebody else. Oh, that's a sure way to be informally blacklisted. Right? You don't want to do that. You wait for the rejection. Okay? Or you wait for the acceptance. I don't know about a lot of journals because I spend most of my years working with Asian philosophy.
And also mental action.
The last time I asked the editors, what's our rejection rate? He said 7 out of 10 are rejected. So you have to be prepared for rejection of your book proposal, of your journal articles, and keep coming back and back. Only the resilient people, to use a phrase that's dear to Katie Nadnikov's, Dr. Nadnikov's dissertation was about that, resilience. Only the resilient people can succeed in a competitive market like this.
As long as you keep on
but if you cultivate this personal connection at a conference, it's much easier to be successful.
If you are not arahat yet.
Well, the next step, what about the outcomes? The book review is obviously the easiest way to start, so long as, and here's the key, you are mindful about how writing can help other people. Think about it carefully. When you write, there are words that wound, and there are words that heal. One should be aware of the power of words in reviewing somebody's book.
Every brand, Thai brand, local brand.
As a book reviewer, sometimes, not always, there are many factors, but sometimes your review can make or break career possibilities for somebody just starting out.
I drink every day, and it's destroy my brain.
Sometimes your review can cast doubt on the reputation of an established scholar. So if you're going to do that, if you think the book is really not very good, and you can't recommend it at the highest level, even though the person is established, keep careful notes to justify any claims of an evaluative sort that you make. It could be that the person will be annoyed and will write the main editor and say, who is this person who reviewed my book? This is nonsense. This is not true.
The bad thing
Editor
is easy for the
has
bad
the
thing,
right under those circumstances to
but
contact
it's
you and
very
say, what's the
difficult
evidence?
for the good people.
You said this is the worst book you've
And
read
the
in the
good thing
last year.
It's very
Come on.
easy for the good people.
You have something more
But
specific than
it's
that, I
very
hope.
difficult
And then
for
you
the
go
bad
through your
people.
notes and say, yes, sir, I thought this
ควา
point,
ม
this
ดี
point,
ค
this
น
point
ชั่ว
were not
ทำ
well
ยากคน
taken.
ดีทำง่าย
Okay,
ความ
fair enough.
คนดี
But if you
ทำง่าย
have no
ให้ความชั่ว
reasoned
คนชั่วทำง่ายคนดีทำ
justification
ง่าย
for slamming
It's not
somebody,
what type are
you
you?
could
If
be
you
in
are
some
good
trouble.
type, if you have potential, then
Now, what's
you
the
will not think like that.
bottom line here?
How did you do
I
that?
said, writing a book review is low-hanging fruit. It's easy to get, right?
I don't know, Lindy.
But
I believe on my
purity
good
and danger
I believe that in the
go
very
together
long
in this.
past life,
So you got a
I
pristine
used to
opportunity to
good
break
things,
into
and those
academic
things
publishing by doing a
maybe
book
it
review.
fruit me.
But at the same time, it's a little bit dangerous. Ideally, one will strike a balance between giving no criticism at all of a new book and excessive criticism.
Philosophy.
And overall, whether starting your career by doing book reviews is smart
and
for you
80% we do it
needs careful thought.
right now.
For some people, it's better to spend their time just publishing their own articles or book chapters.
I think no more time.
Now, here could be a trajectory. You publish 2 or 3 book reviews, and next you move on to articles.
I think I would like to discuss some more, but
Book chapters next,
Yeah,
and then a book contract. That would be a rational progression. But there's no reason to say that that would be an absolute rule. It's just a possibility.
So you are
Okay.
collecting information.
Anyway, overall,
If you have time,
it's easy to get a book review to review, probably, if you do the normal procedure.
I think
Write a nice letter to the editor. But it could be dangerous for you. Do you tend to be overly critical? Would this be the best way to start your career? Or should you start by doing your own work? It's a thought. In my case, I started with publishing an article a long time ago
Can you see my PowerPoint?
in a Buddhist journal in England while I was still at Hawaii. I didn't plan it this way, but by the time I got to apply to London University, that article was already published, and so it was resounding to my credit.
Respected Ajahn
It-
and my dear brother and sister, my classmates.
This slide shows the 4 main components of writing an academic paper.
So with my Ajahn,
I'm now
my
starting
dear
to review,
classmates.
to
So all
go
of us in here,
into
there are more than
sort of hammer away the main points I made near the beginning of this
that is
talk
why I'm
about
the youngest
how to
one in
write
here. That is why
a
I call
good
it
article, a good academic paper
it is on my number.
with an argument
So,
and good
that is
organization.
my
Okay, you need these 4 things.
topic.
The paper title.
It is always
If you've done a careful template, you just copy and paste it from the template. The paper title is normally, I would say, 3 to 5 words, doesn't have to be long. Buddhism, ecology, and contemporary developments in Thai farming. That would be an interesting title.
Let me introduce all my
You need something that's manageable. Many times people make the paper title vacuous, so big it's almost meaningless. On truth. What? Well, if you had a paper on the differences between truth of being or authenticity and truth of statement or propositional truth, that would be great. Now people get your drift. But if you write something so windy, on being, oh, come on. People are going to be turned off. So the paper title should be substantial, but don't put too many words. You can use a paper title that starts with on the concept of something, something, or on the concepts of anatta and samsara, something like that. I would recommend something with at least 3 but not more than 5 key terms in your paper title. Then the introductory paragraph. Okay, that's where you state the thesis, but it's more complex than that. To have a really good introductory paragraph, you need to provide a context. How did you get interested in this? Maybe it's because you read 2 articles by using Google Scholar that could be referred to with particular journal names and authors where there was a clash. These authors created a debatable question in your mind. That's the context of discovery. And then you picked one side that was more reasonable to you, and your thesis emerged out of that. That can be in your introduction to make people interested in reading the rest. So I got interested because I found this a conflict in academic work, and I would like to adjudicate it or take one side. That was my interest. I noticed a target. Professor Smith at Yale thought the opposite of what I think. So I now quote, here's one sentence where he says it, footnote it in his article. And in this paper, I'm going to argue the opposite, which is blah, blah, blah. Okay? If you have a target, especially an influential target, people will probably care to read it. That's one way of hooking them into reading your paper. Actually, they may not be interested in your paper's topic at all. But if you say, I noticed the debatable question in the journal literature, and I decided to take one side. And by the way, people have taken the opposite point of view, which means that my thesis is meaningful. I'm not just saying what everybody already agrees with. Your thesis becomes meaningful if you take a position where there are published authors taking the opposite point of view. After the introductory paragraph, where you state the context, state the debatable question that was the background, give a target if you can, and finally state your thesis. In this paper, I will argue that, or it will be argued that. Notice I used a thesis identifying phrase there. In this paper, it will be argued that, or if more impersonally, in this paper, that's one way, or personally, okay? 2 ways of phrasing, depends on your style. This leads in to using another piece of your worksheet. You've already used the paper title, pasting that into the first page after your name. But now, if you copy and paste the premises and conclusion from your main argument, leaving space between them in the body of the paper, you can use that as your intellectual scaffolding to put reasons and examples after the premises. And really so easy to lose your way. If I start writing a paper without enough thought to the organization, I can quickly see it. And then I go back and say, oh, I forgot to do the full template. So then I go back and do that. And then my paper immediately improves. Okay, finally, you have your conclusion. The importance of the conclusion is not just window dressing. It is to serve both a logical and a psychological function. If you don't recap your argument and your, therefore, the conclusion in the last paragraph, if you don't, then people are left with thinking about the reasons, the very tiny little reasons and examples you gave for your 5th premise. What? Is that any way to leave your reader lost in a sea of detail? No, you have to remind them. That serves the psychological function of the eureka. I found it. when they read how the premises lock together, they see, yes, he did it. He proved now what he said he would prove in the first paragraph. I see it. Eureka. But it's easy to do and easy not to do. Easy to forget your obligation to your reader, to make it clear to them what you did. These are the four main components, as I see it, of an academic paper. So again, the worksheet looks like this. Okay, you've seen it before, but this is a review. Subject, topic, paper topic, thesis comprise the template. The thesis is copied and pasted into the therefore blank in the main argument to get started. And then you can copy and paste next to each premise the main terms in your conclusion. Copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Now, all and everything that is in your conclusion is going to be addressed in each premise. So it's not a magic show. You're not pulling a rabbit from a hat, right? No, everything in the conclusion was in one or more premise because you've just copied and pasted the key terms above. Then around each key term, you make a sentence, any sentence relative to your topic that you're arguing for. Now you have a sentence, but they're not locked together. Think about how you can make them lock together. A way I recommend for beginning arguers is the easiest way. That is to make the last part of the first premise begin the first part of the second premise, the last part of the second premise begin the first part of the third, the last part of the third begin the first part of the fourth, the last part of the fourth become the first part of the fifth, and the conclusion should follow because they're all locked together. Now, there are other ways to make arguments that are valid. One way is you start with a premise that characterizes a whole flow. You might say, the concept of X includes P, Q, R, S. And then the second premise is taking each one, P, and analyzing that. Q, third premise, R, S. So the first premise just delimited the range. This concept contains only these elements. Now, you have to be careful and ensure that it's true. If you divide a concept into four parts, there can't be any surprises introduced by other authors, which shouldn't be, who found something else. This requires you've already studied the concept very carefully and analyzed it. But if you can do that, it becomes logically tight. If this concept has only these four elements, and you say something significant about each one, you may be in a position to have a tight conclusion. Okay, here's a quick review of the whole process of making a template and main argument. Before writing a paper, chapter of an article, chapter of a dissertation, it's appropriate to have some organization. Having a one-page worksheet with the template argument is helpful. From the one-page worksheet, you can do the following things. You get the paper title out of that just by copy-paste to the first page of your paper. You get the thesis to go in two places. In the first paragraph, where you say what you're going to do, and after the therefore, in the last paragraph, where you show that you did it. And then in the body of the paper, the premises are copied from the main argument, becoming sequentially tighter in organization, because after each one goes your supporting reasons and examples. Now, where do you get the reasons and examples? I suggest for us at IBSC, three sources. Conversations with your master, with your fellow monks, nuns, or lay people. Conversations can supply you supporting reasons and examples. You can have an endnote. I owe this point to a conversation with so-and-so on this day. Another place is we have now the MCU major publication covering all the three schools, Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana, in one volume, and what we can do is we don't have to find a warehouse that has these and beg somebody to give us a copy. It's all free and online right now. You copy in to your search engine, Common Buddhist Text, space PDF. And guess what? There's at least one place as of yesterday where you can download the whole book for free. The same is true of another major reference book, Pali Text Society's Pali English Dictionary. I bought it as a student many years ago when I first decided that Pali Buddhism would be my focus. I bought this book at considerable expense for a student in hard copy in London in 1974. Now it's free online, but the title has to be exact. The Pali Text Society's Pali English Dictionary, space PDF. So I'm encouraging you to use our IBSC's Common Buddhist Text as one tool. And when word gets around to your friends or other scholars at other institutions, the value, the credibility, the respect, the esteem of IBSC will go up. I took this book to California a couple of years ago when it was first published. I think it was around 2018 in the summer, to the Society of Core Texts and Courses. These folks are only dedicated to working with original texts, core texts they call them, and infusing the courses that they teach with primary texts. And they didn't know about this. I had a seminar room with 20 people, all professors from different universities across the country. And what I did was I took one section and wrote a short paper on karma and rebirth, and then problematized something, raised a question for them to think about, and said, you know what? I know you folks are almost all not Buddhist specialists, but you can do what I did just with this one book, the CBT. You can know enough about Buddhism combined with your critical ability from your discipline to write about it authoritatively with course references. And that, I think that greatly encouraged interreligious dialogue. I had a lot of Christians in that group because the interests in core texts are often from our more conservative brothers and sisters. Okay, so you got to think, how can we make inroads from our Buddhist points of view in dialoguing with the others? If we're going to follow Dr. Hansa's vision of wisdom for the world, then we can't just be talking to other Buddhists. It's dangerous. You get out of your comfort zone. You're prepared to defend what you think, but you're prepared to listen. Catherine Corneille has a wonderful book called The Impossibility of Interreligious Dialogue. And she put in parentheses, the possibility or impossibility. It's sort of up to you. It's a very intelligently written book which talks about the preconditions for interreligious dialogue. And one of them is openness. So back to point D here. The last part of the process is the use of the thesis that copied and pasted from the template. It fits in the first paragraph as what you want to prove, and in the last paragraph is what you did do. Here's an example, and I think this venerable is probably in our audience today. I won't say his name. He's a meditation master. And what's beautiful about this argument that came out of a class had together a couple of years ago was that it just took the most basic way of making a tight argument, and everybody else had the same opportunity, but few people actually did it. Okay, he did this. The last part of the first premise becomes the first part of the second, and so on. And in this process of argumentation, he established to his own satisfaction and to a lot of our satisfaction also, that of the two main meditation methods in Myanmar, the meditation training method of Lady Sayadaw is better than the Mahasi meditation training method. He took a point of view, by golly. How many times do I read drafts of papers that don't say anything, where there's no point of view, just a collection of facts? Well, this sutta says that, and this secondary source says that. Well, who cares unless it's part of an argument about what you think? You get my drift? So this is important to your life because your life is ebbing away. Remember death? It can come at any time, says the Buddha. Your life is ebbing away. Everything is impermanent. And what you do should be valuable to you and hopefully others. So I go back to my very first point. Important to decide about your life. If you want to make money, please don't become a college teacher. Go to business or something else. If college teaching is the only thing you can do and be really satisfied with yourself and your life, do that. But hopefully you're not seeking some worldly benefit, because it's easy to be disappointed if you do that with this kind of career. I did it, quite frankly, because it's the only thing I wanted to do. I had other opportunities, but nothing to me mattered as much as Buddhism and philosophy. Now, to end this, I want to talk a little bit, or struggle together. I can feel the pain of my PhD students as they're suffering with a load of information. It might seem like you are climbing a mountain of books loaded with facts. But you can transform your main argument from a paper you wrote in a class into a journal article where you take a point of view. That is to transcend the mountain of information and get to a level related to wisdom. Here's an opportunity, main argument of a paper you did in class. And by putting the premises as points in your abstract, the abstract becomes logical. Step 2. Then when you put the premises and the conclusion into paragraph form, step 3. And then step 4, remove the premise numbers, but keep the conclusion indicator therefore. You have a beautifully logical abstract. Isn't that marvelous? Because in talking to students, I've sometimes have found people very puzzled. Oh, gee, how do I make an abstract? But if they had started by making a main argument, they'd already have the abstract. I found people are trying to think at the last minute, oh no, I don't know how, I don't know what I did. I wrote all this stuff, but what did I do? That's moha, right? That's delusion. So we have to keep on track. This system I'm using, by the way, did not entirely originate with me. So I have to give credit where credit's due. As an undergraduate student in philosophy, I had one course that made all the difference to my life. So I have to say, hats off to Dr. Stephen Norris. What did he do? He had an uncommon way of teaching us to reason and think and argue.
Chapter 5
He never had any written notes. He had an amazing memory. I was working in the philosophy office as a copy boy at the time. So I saw the professors come and go.
Like this.
And I saw Norris would go into his room
5.1.
and there would be total quiet for about an hour before his class.
Recommendation.
And then he'd come out, he'd stride into the room and say, hello, everyone. He'd pick up the chalk. We had chalk in those days and green board. And he would write a premise, premise one. And then he'd invite us to argue about whether or not, free and quiet, whether or not the premise was true or false. So people would put forth various ideas, and usually they would settle down to a consensus that premise one is arguably true. And then he'd put another premise, and another, and another. And finally, he'd make the inference from a chain of premises he had memorized in his office before the class. He would make the inference, therefore,
I'm sure that you guys,
and we would go, oh no,
you might have many things to
morally outrageous or metaphysically impossible. How did he do it again? From premises that seemed to be arguably true, he got a conclusion that we couldn't accept.
I suggest you,
So we, oh no, he did it. Okay, he'd say, go home and think about it. Find out what's wrong with this argument.
During the writing.
And then we'd come back next week and we would find out and we would argue again and try to figure out the flaw. There must be some flaw because the conclusion was either ontologically or metaphysically impossible or morally outrageous. That's how he taught us to argue, by making us angry. So I don't use the same method, but I use the basics of caring about argument structure, and I made up the template and main argument process myself and fine-tuned it over a number of years teaching American undergraduates, American master students, and now MSc.
In the chapter 5,
okay, so that's where it came from. Stephen Norris.
From chapter 2, 3, 4,
later, he went away from philosophy because he didn't get tenure.
Day by day,
not for lack of excellence, but for interpersonal fighting with somebody from a totally different philosophical tradition. But he became a brilliant lawyer. So what?
Day by day, things like that.
Conclusion. In this webinar presentation, you've been introduced which career is right for you.
So you don't need to.
If your career involves writing, think about why you want to write.
Right?
Why do you want to write? Is it to aggrandize the self? Oh, so great, I wrote a book. You know what? So many people have written books. I hope that's not the only reason. Clarify and examine your own motivations by writing a paragraph for reflection on your life. That could be the best thing you do as a result of this webinar. The technical stuff, that'll always be there if you need it.
Tomorrow I'm going to use my voice again.
Another aspect of the conclusion is I've shown you varieties of academic writing: book review, journal article, book chapter, and
can you hear me?
books.
Anyone can hear me?
And what's some of the social background for finding opportunities in these areas? The format for academic papers is appropriate to journal articles, book chapters, and whole books.
Yeah.
Of course, it is not
I don't
appropriate for book
understand this
reviews.
conception framework.
Another small conclusion you can take away is that the networking process behind securing an agreement to write a journal article, book chapter, and book is very, very important. I hope I opened a window to you on how to network with peers to get an opportunity to present a paper on a panel that can start you off big time. Because once you read a paper on a panel of your own, people are going to come up to you and talk after the panel is over. And then you get more conversation that can help you improve your paper, critically evaluate it with constructive criticism. That's one reason I like to present papers. I always go back with new ideas. So as long as you're open to the possibility that you might be wrong in some way, you can grow, you can develop. But once you think, oh, I have the absolute dharma, the absolute doctrine, nobody can defeat me because I know exactly what the Buddha thought. Well, wait a minute, really? We're working with the Theravada recension of a series of texts. Do we actually know the ideas that were in the Buddha's mind? I tend to think the Theravada recension is valuable. I tend to believe that the Bhanaka tradition helped us maintain ideas in it very close to what the Buddha taught. Very close. But even the Buddha doesn't want us to worship Dhamma. He said when he died, don't worship me. You have Dhamma, that's your starting point. But he already said it's a raft for crossing over to Nibbana. It's not something to be venerated like a text that you worship, and do nothing else. The ritual tradition of Hinduism is negated. The new way, the new knowledge, is self-discovery as indicated in the Kalama Sutta. So I think you know this. I hope you can go and live it. Varieties of academic writing have been discussed. The networking process opened up to you, only that. The rest has to be your own experience. And the final idea that I want to leave you with is, I hope this makes you happy. Follow your bliss.
I have solution for you.
Joe Campbell, my hero for writing The Hero with a Thousand Faces.
Okay, the definition of
and Bob Marley. That's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. Now I turn it over to the moderator again. Here's my little bibliography. I'll leave it up on the screen. It has all kinds of writing books in case somebody wants to.
Can you show the definition of the term page? 1.5?
I have to leave room for other people. So
all right, yeah.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Frank Hoffman, for sharing your expertise to increase the publication success for IBSC students on the writing academic paper for publication. So Professor Frank introduced students many effective way to start writing academic paper. And the most important thing is firstly to find a debatable question. We can find debatable question by talking to friends or peer or go to Google Scholar website and see what most people debate about, or from our life experience when we talk to others. We can find them in a variety of places. And Professor Frank also introduced where mindfulness matters when we start writing academic paper. So we should firstly aware and be mindful about what we really want to do or write. Have a clear question about the paper. And in writing academic papers, most important questions are why, what does it mean, and how do you know, and what is the evidence that you are going to show or prove in your writing. And also the template start with the big topic, like the start from the subject and then narrow down to topic and then paper title, and the clearest, the smallest one is the thesis that you make, that you have to clarify what do you want to argue about. And Professor Frank also introduced the worksheet, how to write an academic paper, how to scope down from the subject to the thesis.
On the end of definition.
And Professor Frank also recommends or suggests on how to find good books to read for your discovery process. For example, we can take about 10 books out of the shelf and look at the conclusion at the back or the end of the book, and look at the content. If the book has the careful thought process in the content, then that is the book that is worth reading. And when you start to write the paper, Professor Frank also recommends about 4 to 7 premises for a 5-page paper.
That is taught by,
and during your writing, some problems maybe occur, like as you write, maybe you want to change your thesis or your topic. And the important thing is try to avoid self-contradiction. And beside this, there is always a recommendation on how to write a book review. For example, find a book that is worth reading, and you might write to the editor or the book writer and try to be productive learner. Try to learn new things. Also, Professor Frank also introduced us that we should look for high-ranking university press when we want to read, let's say, a quality paper, right? The good quality paper. And the next thing is to review about the components in an academic paper. The component in the academic papers, Professor Frank introduced that there must be a paper title, introductions, and the body of paper with the premises that support the reasons and give examples. And the last part is the conclusion. And also gave a good example of our students about the main argument that he made about the meditation teacher in Myanmar. And that is an important thing that a student can make the abstract in an easy way. Like when the student write the premises, right, in order, maybe about 4 to 7 premises. And the last premises, you put therefore and conclusion of your premises. Then you put together, erase the number, and you can make the abstract beautifully and easy way. Yes, so this is all about what Professor Frank has been sharing with us. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and make it easier for students to understand on how to write the academic paper. And our next session is the understanding the IBSC format and Chicago style, followed by Q&A session by Assistant Professor Dr. Pramaha Sompong Kunakaro. Prajan Sompong will be guiding you the IBSC format using Chicago style. We are going to hold our question to the end. And with that, I ask you to give your full attention to this section. So may I respectfully invite Assistant Professor Dr. Pramaha Sompong Kunakaro to give the guidance on IBSC format and Chicago style. Please, Venerable.
You must blame yourself. Oh, there must be something not good, not explained good enough, things like that. But if you do it well enough,
can you hear me?
There will be no.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
It means that. Oh,
thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
My explanation may be well
So,
enough for the people to understand your writing.
Let me declare for that.
Yes, please take your time.
You take note by by yourself.
So actually, in the term of academic writing, that we have so many style for that, but depend on the university which style they want to use for that. For example, Chicago style. And if you want to get details about how to write academic academic work regarding Chicago style, you try to find out the book. Actually, the book consists of, I think, almost 1,000 pages, but it's full of information and really necessary for those who would like to write the article, academic article. So today, I will give you information about how to write the format, understanding of IBSC format using Chicago style. I mean, actually IBSC format and Chicago style, that is not different, but some kind of the point in the IBSC format for research scholar or for the ABS student that we use this one based on the Thai version. We translate from Thai version from TQS school to English edition. So, but anyway, regarding our style, our university that not different from the Chicago style, but some points we never neglect. Some point we still keep as our tradition. But mostly we use this one. We take the style from Chicago. So today I will give you about the style of Chicago fully, not only the IBSC style or not only MCU style. Let me share about the PowerPoint. But I need you to concentrate point by points because it's full of information, not only talking, but actually we should have organized some kind of workshop for this because students can follow and practice by themselves. That is an easy way and a good way for students who can remember the style for that. But just listening, I don't think that you can remember. You might not be able to remember for all parts of this.
These little work as best as you can like this. It means that on your larger work.
I think 1 hour not enough for me.
But
You need more hours, Venerable.
that you can keep this standard, right? Appreciate the way you give footnotes. It's very clear and very. It's above the standard. Why?
Sorry.
Because you always provide with full language, bilingual. Okay, when you
so the point the organizer asked me to give for today that understanding IBSC format, I put using Chicago style. Actually, when we talk about the academic writing, that we use civil style. For example, APA. That Application Manuals of American Psychology Association. This one we prefer use for the article. So many universities use this style for the thesis also. So the other one, MLA handbook. This one also does some universities they use the style for academic writing.
Research methodology. I think you're still missing off the list of key information. I would like you to
and Chicago style. Chicago style. Actually, I used to study at the 15th edition, but essentially 17th edition.
Of course. So do not
so actually 17th editions they try to divide it to make it available. So I mean contemporaries using academic writing, and this is for our writing manual of academic work. Actually, this is used by the IBSC student of IBSC professors or any people who want to write articles by using English language. That it's better to use that manual for writing. I think 80%, almost 80% we took from the Chicago style. So there's APA style, American Psychology Associations. The second one, MA Modern Language Association. The third one, Chicago style, and the fourth one is for us writing manuals of academic work. So in Chicago style, though, I will sorry.
Then you can list his name in your work, and I will help you later. Okay,
I have some.
But you must complete your list. Not just list blank like this.
So I start with the Chicago style. They put when we want to referrals by block quotation. Block quotation. They said they have the regulation for using block quotation. You can imagine, or you can see the previous verb that when you refer by making the block quotation. Block quotation is mean you take the one paragraph or less than one paragraph or more than one paragraph or some not only one word, two word, not only one sentence, two sentence, but more than 4 sentences. That's we call the block quotation. So there are more than 4 lines regarding Chicago style. If you refer by using the more than 4 lines, you have to use the block quotation like this. At the conclusions of the Lord, the Friday said, live and realize the horrors of their action. Then you use that block quotations. But just remember that more than 4 lines that you have to use by using block quotation. Later than that, you have to use like the standard using, not block quotation. For the abstract Chicago style, they said there are only single paragraphs with more than so not more than 100 with the 100 words. Sorry, the 500 words. So when you the abstract just mean to attract the people to read your work. That's abstract very necessarily that no need to put more. Just the one paragraph. Or if you want to use more than one paragraph, but not more than one page, mostly we use the half a page for the abstract. Abstract, that's mean, as I said to you, that's mean when the people, they want to know that what kind of the information you write for your work or your thesis. So they release from the abstract.
This one is not.
The abstract, I can say that the abstract at the conclusion and will attract the people or the leader to lead the whole thesis or the whole academic work.
What does it mean?
What's about the foreign language? Sometimes we put the foreign language in the thesis or in the academic work.
Okay.
Italicized is an italicized foreign words used in the English text. So foreign words is mean apart from English language, whatever different from English language, we have to italicize this term. For example, you see the Renaissance carriers what expected to display. So then another word, this word is not English word. Special, signature, something like that's non-challenge in the face of adversities. Then another language that is not English language. The tape and silence is not the true style, but need speaking obedience of verb rules. Then another language, Honisoiki is just like this. Okay, it's not. So this is English. Sorry, this is another language apart from English language. But in the case that you want to translate for the leaders who don't know about the foreign language. If you want to translate it, you have to put the English language in bucket. So you see the compensio, the securities rationally compendiums of the large noise. The bucket opening bucket compendiums of the large noise securities become a bestseller. So this is definitely when we write academic writings that not only English we want to leave first. Make a difference, but another language we have to put this. But how to put another language apart from English language? Yes, we have to do like that. That's means we have to italize the foreign language. So vertical list punctuate as the sentence. So I try to put the three system for that. For the first one, it's like a one sentence. When, for example, you want to put the number 1, number 2, number 3, but include in one sentence. In one sentence, for example, the first one, reporting for development committee, Jason report that the first one, a fundraising campaign that directors was being sought, not complete, just 1 point one point including the reporting. The second one, salary for these directors about a year would be placed of the campaign file. Then another one, the fundraising campaign would be launched in the spring of 2005. This is the one sentence. So you can see the 1, 2, 3 is not the sentence, but like it just include in the reportings of the for the development committee. So that's why what we will do for that. First, at the end of each paragraph, a foundation, the end of was being south, and the other one comment fund, and the other one the spring of 2005. You can see was being south. So semicolon. We put semicolon. A year would be placed out of the campaign, semicolon. Would be launched in the spring of 2005. This is full stop at the one sentence, complete sentence. And the other ones, in the other conditions, the complete sentence. If you want to complete sentence one by one, 1, 2, 3, as the vertical list, you see, to purge file, protect this file, delete sentries, start with following step. First, from the Microsoft tools, then until unreleased icon, you stop it. That's the one sentence. To select the directories form which you want to purge file, choose the drive button to put full stop that as a sentence. In the unleashed screen, select the file you wanted to purge. This is how many sentences for that? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes. This is, you try to put like a sentence by sentence, point by point. But the other one, not complete sentence. Not complete sentence like you put, but it's not the complete one. But you try to put one by one, but not complete sentence. Not complete sentence, for example, compose 3 sentences. First, to illustrate the use of the comma in the date. To distinguish the use of semicolons from the use of period. Third, so you can see the last sentence, but not complete sentence. The illustrate the use of comma in date. So no any kind of the symbol. To distinguish the use of the semicolons from the use of periods. No full stop or any kind of the symbol. And 2, just. So this is, regarding the vertical list, so what shall we do? So we have the three conditions for that. First, like the odds of include in the one sentence with semicolons each of the sentence. The second one, complete sentence, each vertical list you put at the finished sentence. And the last one, not complete sentence, like you put the words word by word. This is vertical list punctuated as the sentence. I will go fast because it's so many information about this. What's about the book? So many pages, so many points that the student refer the book. But when you refer the name of the book, what should we do? The name of the book. For example, you can say italicize the title of the book. So what kind of the book? You have to italicize about this book. For example, when the editor used Chicago manual style. The Chicago manual style is the name of the book. Another one, in their book, see, in their book, then the class of translation. So this is the class of translation is the name of the book. That you just remember easily that any book, what kind of the book you use, you refer in your academic work or in your thesis, you have to italicize the book, the name of the book. What's about the journal author article? So this is, we use different from the book, a little bit different. For example, we have to italicize the titles of the journal. Italicize, not the name of the article, sorry. The titles of the name, the title, italicize the titles of the journal, not the name of the article. We have to separate between the name of the title and the name of the articles and the name of the journal. So we should not italicize the name of the title, but we have to italicize the name of the journal. For example, refer to the article title, compilations of the MLA and MAPA style. So this is the titles of this is the name of the title of the article. Sorry, so we should not italicize it, but definitely we have to mention about the journals. So we have to italicize the name of the journal. The second one, John Ellis article, reconciling the cell compare in the journals of, the journal that we have to italicize, comparing with the both above are comparisons of the MLA and APA style. We should not italicize that. That's fun because of the name of the article. But the name of the journal in which we publish appear in the journal of, for example, IBAC journal. So we have to italicize. That's fun. But the name of article we publish in the IBAC journal, we should not italicize. So this one really necessary, this one, because sometimes if we try to close the on pages, the long sentence is not good. It's not good writers. But we have to select which one the important, suitable for your work, and in accordance with your content in your thesis. So what should we do? What does it mean, 3 or 4 dot methods? So the difference meaning between 3 and 4 methods. How different of them? Complete sentence, we use the 4 dot. Complete sentence, we use 4 dot. Or you just remember the condition first. Incomplete sentence, we use 3 dot. For example, the spirit of American radicalism is destructive and aimless. So, for example, the red colors, I want to cut it off. The red color. It is not loving, it is not untolerant and driving ends and semicolons, but it is destructive, not only out hatred and selfishness. So I want to cut it off. I want to cut it off from the aimless until on the other side. This is the complete sentence. I have to left 4 dot.
Syllabus.
Sorry. Okay, for example, this one. If I delete this until here, so this is I delete complete sentence. So it should be
Meditation.
4 dot.
What you
Why
like?
4 dot? Yes, this is complete sentence because every sentence, complete sentence, we have to put the dot. So that we have to leave that dot. And we put 3. 3 this means instead of the content we cut it out. So that's why we put 4 dot. Yeah. For example, this one, as previously I used for this. Sorry.
Yeah.
So sorry. This we have to put 4 dots because from the aimless until on the author. That this is all information. I delete this and start with the new sentence.
I don't have.
But in the case this one,
I think
author side, the conservative party. I want to delete composites of the most moderate, able and cultivated parts of population. I want to cut it off this.
And then finally
so this is it's not complete sentence.
So I have to make it bigger. And
so what should we do? We just leave, we have to leave only 4 dots, 3 dots, sorry.
How many
assignment,
how many topics you don't write?
You don't write anything?
No, they don't in detail in syllabus. They don't
like this.
So that's why I'm
because still this one and this one not complete sentence.
So
just some information we have to cut it out.
I found that they said
yes, have you got that?
Another one, so I have to
just like this.
In the Sanketi, in the
and
the
another one.
Yeah.
You can see the second paragraph.
You can
so why I put the 4 dots?
Tell him that don't have syllabus.
Because
yes.
Apart from that, we don't know information about apart from that after 4 dots. we might not able to know what kind of information about this. But to put the 4 dots is mean apart from that is a complete sentence. If we left only 3 dots, you have to put, there must be some information. So that's why if you left all information in that paragraph, you should put the 4 dots. Yeah. So if you cut it off, you see the third one. If you cut it off, the information before you cut it off, so you have to put 3 dots. That means apart from that, some information, but not complete information. Yeah, but the last one still 4 dots. Yes. So you just remember that this is like a one paragraph. As I said initially, that one paragraph, if you try to put all the information on the content, on the sentence, that's one like you copy all on paragraph. But you just select what kind of in the content suitable for your thesis, suitable for your academic work. So no need to refer all of this. You just cut it off, some information not necessarily. But the method is that, as I said to you, that 4 dots, what does it mean, the 4 dots? That means you cut all information and until the new sentence. Yes, but 3 dots, just the information in between the sentence. 3 dots. Yes. So if you're confused, you can ask later. Oh, sorry. This is so another information. Wait for a way. I have 2 PowerPoint for that. This one, how to make the different, how to make the quotations, how to make the different, how to use the footnote. For example, for example, I will show the last slide for that. Like this. So this is the way to do a footnote. But what does it mean? Every footnote, they have the meaning. They have the strategy to do. For example, somebody error at poverties and why we have to italicize. But why we don't use the italicize. We don't italicize the term. So why we use the I bit with the number? Why we use the only I bit without number? Why we use that? Why we use only the name and the name of article, the name of the the name of the book and the name of the people, the authors? Why we use only this? Comparing with the first one, Samuel Amoli. So the first one, only Moli, and the name of the book, just like this. Why we should do like this? So that all of things, they have the meaning, the condition to do that on of the reference or the footnote. So I will go to the first. So 2 kind of the things we have to make the reference in your thesis or in your thesis or in your academic work. First, the book, and the other one, the journal or the article. But the book, so many kind of the condition to do that. For example, the name of the people, the name of the author, the author, the title of the book, the year, the page. What should we do with this? I start with the author name. When you imagine you have one book, you want to make a reference in your thesis. What should you do with this? So, but one book, not only the book. How many editions for the book? Where this book is published? how many author name? If 2 author name, if 3 author name, if 4 author name, what should we do with this? So for the single the authors, so they said, I will not read the content above because it's my waste the time. So you can see that the examples is better understand easily. For the first one, this one we emphasize on the author name, the name of the writers. You see Philip Ball. This is the name of the writer. This is for the book. So we have to put in the standard. That means the first name and the last name. You just remember that. The second one also T.H. Blin. And you use the colon. Philip Ball. Blight, wrote art and inventions of the color. So for this point, you just concentrate on the name of the writers. The name of the writers. The second one, T.H. Bean. Then you use some kind of, how to call this? Yes. So then after that, the name of the book. Yeah, you see, give each the author name exact as it appears on the title page. In the note, this is the footnote. In the notes, read the author name in the standard orders. The first name first, and the last name. Yeah. So if
either me, right? But maybe I need to
if more than one name. More than one name. More than one name. What should we do with more than one name? For example, yes, you see, for the first one, the example, the first one, Kai Brooks and Martin J. For example, Schwabing. This is the second name. 2 names, sorry, not second name. 2 names. You have to put the and.
Very good. Some of them.
Kai Brooks and Martin J. Schwabing.
Some of them.
Yes. The second one, 3 names. What should we do with the 3 names of the authors? Lois Appleby, comma, Linton, comma, and Margaret Jacob. So if there are 2 names, put and between the first and the first authors and the second author. If 3 names, you just put the and between the second writers and the third writer. What about the 4 names? More than 4 names. You have to put. You see the third one. Jacqueline, Dow Hall, etc. Sorry. So HL, this means more than 4. You can see the English above. Put the periods after abbreviation for Ali authors, but not after it. Not after it. Not after it is. Let's see. Yes, you can see the Dow Hall. You should not put any kind of the period. You just put the periods after LA. AL, sorry, after L.
You must tell me immediately.
So that means you can do that, but more than 4 writers.
Okay,
if 2 writers, just put and between the second and the first and the second. But if 3 writers, you put and between the second writer and the third writer. But if more than 4, you use like the third one.
Something like that. Okay. Let your friends ask.
In biography, different. Biography, different. Biography, definitely, like you can see the examples. The first one, list of the author in the standard order. List the list of the list of the authors in the standard order. That means if there are two writers, definitely in bibliography, we have to put the last name at the first name at the second. You see, Bird Kai. Actually, Kai is the first name. Bird is the last name. If in the footnote, we have to use Kai, Bird. But this is the biography. We have to invert the last name to the first page and the first name to the last page. Then we put the and. The second people, we have to put in the standard. No need to invert. So no need to invert. For example, birds, Kai, birds, comma, Kai, comma, and Martin. Martin J. Schwering is the second writer. No need to invert the last name to the first page. You put in order standard, in standard orders. Martin J. Schwering. Yeah. So what's about the third people? The third three writers. The second example. Apparently Joyce Lin. Lin Han. Actually, apparently, comma, Joy is comma. That Joy actually is the first name. Joy is the first name. Apparently, Apebi is the last name. Then we have to leave invert the last name in the first. The first name to the last. To the last. So what's about the second? The second writer, Lin Han, the second writer, and Margaret Jacob, the third writer. The second writer and the third writer, we have to put in standard order. No need to invert. No need to invert the last name to the first. No need to invert so what should we do? That we have to put in standard order. That means the first name and the first name, the last name and the last name. So like this one, a baby's choice. This is the first name we have to invert. Lin Han, the second name, and Margaret Jacob, the third name. So let's see, more than four names. More than four names. We should not put the ATAL dot. We should not do like a footnote, like the note. See, Horn Jacqueline Dow. Horn Jacqueline Dow. Jacqueline Dow is the first name. Horn is the last name. So we invert the last name to the first. Horn Jacqueline. What's about the second people, the second writer? We still put in the standard order. James, Liludis. The third, Robert Costas, is still in the standard orders. The fourth, 1, 2, 3. The fourth, Marley Murphy, still in the standard. The fifth, Lou and John. And the sixth, and Christopher BW. So that's different from the footnote in bibliography. If there are more than four, still we have to put four names, more than four names. How many names are available in the book and the writers? We have to put every name like this in bibliography. But comparing with the footnote, we have to change, make it different from the bibliography. For editor on translations, what should we do with the editors and translators? Because book not only the writers but translated editions, editors edited edition. So what should we do with this? In the notes, you can see we have to insert abbreviations at ed. That means edited, sorry. But we should not put ed with the s. This is because ed that's coming from edited, not coming from editors. So they said before editor on translation, you see, for example, the first one, Jeff Boniface. This is the footnote. New and selected poem at. So that means edits. By whom? John Norton and Anthony Rudolph. So even the two editors, but still a bit out edge because AD dot is not coming from the editors, but it's coming from the word edited. Yeah. What's about translations, edition? You can see the second one. Licoberta Mengshu, crossing borders. Trans. Why we put S? Trans. And ed. This means translators and editors available in this book by un and wed. That means translators, trans we put S because of translate. You can see translate this. Translate. It's coming from the slate. Trans. Three. That means coming from translators. That they abbreviate like a TRANS. Yeah, you can see the second line before editors and all translators. They cut it LATOR, cut it off just and put the full stop after S. That's trans and edit. So this is the editors and translators. What's about biography? Biography different from the note. How different? You can see in the note or the footnote, we update the editors or translators. But in biography, we put the full, not update. For example, you see, Boniface. Boniface is the last name, but biography we put in the first page. New and selected prime, edited by. This is biography. We put the full term. Edited, not only it, not only ed, sorry, not only ed, but edited by. Translate, trans also. You see the second one. Menshu, Licobeta, crossing border, translated and edited. So you just remember that in the footnote, we have to put only two AD point, that means edited. On trans, that means translated. But in bibliography, we should put the full term, edited by or translated by. What is it? So sometimes they use the name of the author in the title. What should we do? See, the name of the title as the name of the authors in the title. They said the title of the book. So you see the example. Memories of Generals, the Bill T. Sherman, comma, A.D. Chan Reister. That means this book about the memories of the general. But who edited it? The Charles Reister. So the name of that, the name of the book available in the title. Sorry, the titles of the book. That's the name of the people. There is no writer, but only the edited people. So they put like this in the front. Another one, Illuminations and Night Care. The unfinished autobiographies of the class and Mac Candlers. So this one also talk about the Carson Mac Candler. So, but we edited Carlos L.D. So, this is talk about the autobiographies of the cousin. No authors from this book, but only edited people. This is for the name of the people in the title of the book. In biography are different. Biography, we have to put the name, even the name of the people in the title of the book at the writers. For example, you see, Sermon, comma, W.T. Then memories of the general. The memory of the general. This is the name of the book. So we cut it off, the name of the people at the writers. W.T. Sherman. You can see we put at the front, the red color. The second one also, MacArthur's cousin. Cousin is the first name, but we invert in the last because of, but in biography, the cousin, you see, MacArthur, only MacArthur. This is the name in the title of the book. What's about the organization? Like some book by our university as the organization. No name of the authors, of the writer. So you can see, if a publication is issued by an organization, associations, commissions, or the corporations have no personal author name on the title page, what should we do? You can see the examples in the notebook, in the footnote, sorry. World Health Organization. This is the name of organization, the World Health Organization. But the book, the name of the book, Organizations of the Service for the Mental Health. So because of only the name of organizations, there's book Organizations of the Service for the Mental Health is available by World Health Organization. So you cannot see that the name of the writers, but you can see only the organization. This book available to the World Health Organization, that we have to put the organization at the writer. Yeah. What's about in biography? Biography also, National Commissions on the Terrorist Attack upon the United States. This is some kind of association or organization. So we put at the first as the name of the writers. Yes. You just remember that whatever book attributed or by the committees of that organization, but they never the name of the writer is not available for this, but they mention about the organization only, to put the name of organizations at the writer. What's about the title? The title, they said the title, complete book title and subtitle, italicized both and separated the title from the subtitle with a local colon. Sorry. Let's see. This is emphasized on the title. You can see the red color, emphasized on the red color. The first one, the footnote. A footnote, the title, the writer, the name of the writer, like John H. Halicki and David L. Convin. This is who edited. This is energy and security toward energy and security. Toward energy and security. This is the name, the titles of the book. The title of the book. Then what should we do? We have to italicize the title of the book. This is in the footnote. What's about in biography? Biography also. We have to italicize the name of the book. the name of the title of the book. But one thing extra, you can see the first line, italicize both and separate the title from subtitle with a colon. That means if in the subtitle, two subtitles, what should we do with the one part of the subtitle and another part of the subtitle? So we have to put a colon, semicolon. See, for the first one, colon. You see, about those passes, colon, and after that, from Cairo to American, semicolon. A women journal. So that's in this case. This means if only one, this means only one subtitle separate from the title, we have to use the colon. But if there are two subtitles, we have to use the semicolon separate between both of them, like in the biography from Cairo to America. This is actually a border passage. This is the title, subtitle from the Cairo to America, and another subtitle, a women's journey. So we have to use the semicolon separate between subtitle, two subtitles. Okay. Question mark or any kind of the mark like this. See. So we should not put any punctuation if the question mark or any kind of the exclamation point, or apart from the full stop or any kind of that, we should not put any more. For example, the first one, the footnote. Thomas Frank was the matter with the Kansas and location. How conservative from the heart of American. And the biography also. Aaron Henley, what is the welfare so hard to reform? So the question mark. No need to put the comma. No need to put the full stop. Even actually in my biography, we have to put full stop. In the footnote, we have to put comma. But if any kind of exclamations or question mark, so we have to put this one instead of the other punctuation. What should we do with this? If adding English language, English translations of it, in this point, this means if we translate the name of the title of the book is not English language, but when we translate it, what should we do? You see in the buckets, the red color include in the bucket without italics or quotations mark and capitalize the sentence style. You see, the first one, see the example in note. Henry, what does it? Wyszynski. Then I'm not sure what kind of language this one. But if you want the other people to know about this, the meanings of this title, you translate this. But after you translate this, you have to put all the translated information in the bucket without italics, or should not italicize the translated information, or any kind of the quotation mark. You just put on everything, not italicized inside the bucket.
Version 100, something like
yes, like for the first one examples. The second one in biography also. See, China population. This is another language. I'm not sure this kind of language. This one. Then translated edition, translated information. China population statistics yearbook 1996. Then we put that.
Insomnia.
Normally, the name of the title. The name of the title of the book, we have to italicize. But in this case, special case, that means if you translate this from the another language, no need to italicize.
The monk should use
just put
all of those,
in the standard order.
Computer or any kind of technology. Because if you still use,
what's about addition?
You stay
so you can see, concentrate on the red color. abbreviate such as the second edition. You should not put the full name, second edition, device and entrance. But you have to abbreviate this. For example, you see the second at and abbreviate revised edition at left REV dot
could you let us know?
ED.
Maybe we cannot follow. Okay.
So
what's wrong?
what should we do with this?
What's wrong with that?
For the first one, in the footnote, you see the name of the people: Ponche Bol, comma, Demon V. Then the name of the book, the title of the book, American Defense Policy.
And give an example.
What's about edition?
How bad?
8th edition.
Just using how bad.
So you have to put like this. You have to put the edition if the edition of the book available in the book.
Kind of person who can totally
8th edition.
show up our
ED.
desire attachment. So
What's about the biography? Biography is just different from the footnotes. Only the footnotes we put the comma separate between the name of the title and the edition. In the biography, you can see we use the full stop. See, histories of immigrations of ethnicities in American life. You concentrate on the red color. The second edition.
Right.
Then New York.
Usually handful.
The second one. The second one, the Bob, comma, foreign. The name of the book between the field and the cooking pot. Then this is the revised edition.
So when they have
So we put the REB.ED.
They can have,
So this is revised edition.
and they communicate
Okay.
with them, which is
Volume.
look more noble. Yeah.
They
Otherwise,
shouldn't use by themselves, right?
Volume. So volume, sometimes we have the spatial volume.
there is a separation.
We have spatial volume. What should we do with this? You concentrate on the red color, abbreviate volume. Volume, we abbreviate the VOL dot and use Arabic number. Arabic numbers for the volume number. You said you can see the first one. N is mean not footnote or the note. B is mean bibliography. You can see. And Jaroslav Pelikan. This is the name of the book, the name of the writers. And Christian doctrines and modern culture. And the brackets, opening brackets in 17. And closed brackets. You see, volume 5 of the Christian traditions and histories of that. This one just means special editions of the Christian traditions of the book. That's one. So volume 5. So we put volume.5 like this. Emphasize on the Arabic number, the number. The bibliography also, you just the different only. You see, 1700. The year since 17,000. 17,000. In biography, we put the dot, the point. In note, footnote, we put comma. So apart from that, it's not different. Volume 5. But another one different is mean the volume 5 is the V in the footnote. In the footnote, we use the small. The V we put the small. But the volume 5 in the biography we put the capital. Small cast, that's one the capital.
Without any
in the
Bà
Recording
Roman
in
try with the
progress.
headline style capitalization. You can see the concentrates on the regular. The first one, notebook, questions David Hundreds, the name of the writers, a Jews in the police private town. Then the case of that see until John Hopkins Jew study. So another one in biography. So biography on Chicago before history. Then study in Illinois, Psychology 7.
Very much is that creativity.
So another one also,
creativity is
gender and American culture.
or not, or it's destroy the Sangha community.
So this is
so this one
when
you need to be very careful.
there are series of the book,
Every steps of your
and the titles inside the series of the book.
Opinions and presenting some
John
studies,
Hopkins Jew study. This is the
sometimes you
series
need to
of the book.
hide it. You need to keep some of
Yeah.
the very fragile things inside and to present the things that
this one also you can concentrate on the regular.
You get this point?
N dot full stop, S full stop, and comma. That's mean new.
Okay, so I'm talking about creativity.
Some number series have existed for long. That numbering has started over.
The body of knowledge.
So NS that means
creativity.
new series. OS is mean old series.
Yeah, but it must kill.
When you use for the footnote, you can see for the first one, Charles R. Boxer added South China in 16th centuries.
In a creative
way,
right?
The second, SER. Yes, it's coming from the series. The second series.
We are not using
the second one, biography.
At the end of the
NS, this means new series.
But instead we always use.
So actually, in the case that book have so many series for that, just concentrates on this one, this kind of series, series 1, series 2, and old series, new series.
I have done in my work.
Okay, but not in presentation, right?
Not in presentation. I just
okay, good.
This is very necessary, this one, because we normally use this one. Each book, you have to mention about the page of publication, the publishers, the dates of publication.
It's not our main focus.
But what should we do with this? You can see.
You can explain monastic code in your definition.
How different between of them? First note, in the note or footnote, chair, diamond. This is then the name of the writers. Gun, gem, and steel, and colon, the face of human society.
To express that.
So then you put the bucket, opening bucket,
Then
New
some
York,
case
this is the
studies
name of the
related
city,
to misbehaviors
and
that
colon.
is occur really in Thai society at the
And the
classic
publisher, the
disputes
Bill.
case
Norton
or,
and Company.
a classic
After that, before the year, you put the
boring
colon.
and done. We are so เบื่อและไม่อยาก
See, before 1997,
This is creating
you put the colon.
to the Sangha communities. Okay? Sometimes we saw
After that, you put the year. This year that's available in this book, 1997.
We like to sustain
After that, you put the closed bucket and colon.
To infiltrate
And the page, this page,
that virus to the good
47, the number of the page.
Sometimes we wait
I will talk about the
punishment,
number of the page later.
but you know what? Those
In biography,
never happen.
biography is the different one is that
It's
we should not put
not
the
good
bucket
systemic management,
or parentheses.
in each of that country.
For example, B, that's mean biography.
Okay, so
Diamond, comma,
we will need
chair,
to
full stop,
mention about
and
those
can, etc. Face of the human societies. Then you put full stop instead of.
that's never
You can see comparing with the both.
You're going to clarify
The footnotes above. New York
right
and above sentence New York. New York above sentence in the footnotes with the parentheses.
Okay.
But in the biography without the parentheses or the bucket and colon.
Office of the Buddhism, will come
The name of publishers and comma again and the name of the year. The year 1997
I expect you to see that.
and full stop without the number of the
And you're
page.
going to study those case studies in each category. I will help
Date
you.
of publication.
Categories, it's well categorized in
Concentrate on the regular ND dot in the place of the year.
How should monk
And the other one, but you don't believe that you know it.
Categorize how
You are not sure
eat.
about this one is true or not true. For example, this book publishes in 2019 or not.
How monks eat.
You are not sure about this.
To eat,
So what should we do?
To eat silently. To
For the
eat,
first one,
to receive
the book of the world truth biography, the book of world truth. So you don't know about the year publishers, even the year publisher. You just put N dot D dot.
Not preach any dhammas.
The second one, if the year you are not sure about it,
in the sacred place, something like that.
Miller,
In the place that no one
comma,
can see,
Samuel,
no one can see, something like that. Right?
full stop, Another's book of the world truth,
Also,
Boston, comma. Then you put the bucket, 1950, and put the question mark.
The phenomena
That means you are not sure about this whether this year or
in
not.
Thai society.
And after that, you put the
You
bucket,
and me,
closing
going
bucket,
to sit together
and put full
we
stop.
going to carefully select
Yes.
to study as case
You just
study.
concentrate that if the year, if the information about the place of the year not available in here, you just put N dot D dot.
No, right?
N full stop, D full stop.
He's back.
And if the year you are not sure about this, you just put everything in the bucket and put a question mark.
Terminators, I'm back.
And get a little dancing.
Page, chapters, division, and number.
Long story.
This one, actually the page, we prefer just only P. If only one page, you mention only one page, that only P. But if two pages, more than two pages, you mention for that you put PP, full stop.
How come? Because
But in Chicago, they prefer
he is no more
not using P or PP.
He is respected as a monk.
They put the number of the page
The
directly,
Buddha is still alive.
like this.
The Buddha will allow him to
You can
do
now see P or PP after the comma.
Then
Comma, that means, for example, University Place, 1992.
A novice who very rich.
New York, Cambridge, University Place,
Recording stopped.
1992.
Okay, but
Comma.
now
Recording in progress.
You cannot see the, you don't see the P or PP. Actually,
Monks who
if
join
you use P in here, you have to put the PP because how many pages?
Get onto the stage.
145 until 146. That means 2 pages. You have to put PP. In Chicago style, which
okay, believe me, not
they do not prefer using
but some of the monks,
P or PP. But in our format, we use P and PP. That's why when you write a thesis, you mentioned that this page you have to put P. If one page, if more than 2, you have to use PP.
I agree that it's not proper. There are many times that I
this one also. Sometimes you make a reference about the chapters or the parts of the book or the sections of that one. You see the examples. You can put only the parts of the book, for example, PT, full stop, that means the part of the book.
For what? For study?
The part, that means the part. So you just put this one and to put which part? 2 parts. Part 2, something like that.
For study
yes.
anatomy.
Book also.
In that case, he just
BK.
it depends on the buy
and the put section also.
The buying or
instead of sprung out the page number.
Go to the department store and go to the department store. It's not the case, I think. The case is he buy a porn and just like you.
You know.
The letter actually this one we never at that time we use this for our research.
To have someone do
so okay, I go for this one, just the letter. You can see this is the letter, the name of you see in the letter, Adam Tushar, my guest care. So that means the letter Adam wrote the letter Tushar.
But we
yes, you put the name of the people that Adam Tushar, then London, and March 30th, 1896, in the letter.
As a naughty monk, can you please
see in the letter. The second one, memory. This is the memory in the letter also. You see, in the letter, you put just a format like this in the letters of somewhere else.
Yes. For yourself, for Mahathira Samakom.
Okay, this one we use last time for research and go for.
Okay. Yeah.
This one also
we will talk and select. You cannot study all of this.
This one very necessary online.
Then how about social media and cell phone?
Several times the student leave from online sources. What should we do?
Why?
So it's like the titles of the book like the same, but we take from the online. What should we do from online? We have to close everything, the sources from the online.
No need to go to the
yes, for example, GP, comma, // www. All of this we have to take everything, every link that's from the online. Why? Because if the people want to know the information about this, they can copy, they can search from this online. But firstly, but you have to remember that
don't tell me
when
that
you use this,
playing like Pac-Man.
You see the late calendar except this December 19, 2005. That means you open this website in 19 December 2005. For example, today, you open this one, you have to mention about this day you access it, you open the website.
How you know?
The second one also bibliography. Bibliography different, only put the last name to the front place. Apart from that, the same. So the name of the peoples and the name of the title, the same. And divine editions. Then yes, they from online. Note that they said note that a URL alone is not sufficient. They said you must provide the full fact of publication.
Our students.
That's because of it's easy for the people to find out more information where you mentioned you refer from.
So whenever we learn, you probably need to interview with him.
What about the downloads? CD-ROM, Microsoft ebook.
They were in the news recently.
This one also we just if the information you take from any kind of the ebook, you just mention what kind of ebook the last. TK3 Leader ebook for the first one. The second one,
it's okay
ebook.
If it is not Buddhist study, okay.
Yes.
right? Maybe we will talk, okay? I need to talk
So,
to you, okay? So
what's
I can
about the
decide
journal?
very carefully for you, okay?
So can,
All right.
how long can I continue?
At least this is for
Nandapa?
your future. I think,
Actually, maybe 5 more minutes, then we can run the Q&A
to be
sessions.
more
The still is so many.
Yes.
you start about
Okay. I will try to all in
examine
There's one previously just the book. Previously just the book. This is the article.
issues of we have
The article, the name of the name and the authors and the article name. Actually, the name of the writers in the article or the journal is not different from the book, but different only the name of the title.
About creativity.
See, the notebook, the footnotes.
Actually,
The writer, the name of the writer, Nancy L. Clean.
Right.
The name of the writer.
Yeah. Okay. I think
the title of the article.
In a very smooth way.
You have to make the difference between title of article and the name of the article and the name of the journal.
We're going to help.
So you have to quotation. Put the quotation. See, put the quotation mark and politics, not italize for the name of the title.
Okay. We're not going to harm them.
Not italize.
We're not going to harm.
You have to say in Roman.
Then come no, but we going
Roman
to
type. But you see, this is the name of the article. The politics of the exist colon. Reversing the immigrations of Palladium. Then closing quotation.
I don't know. I'm not the researcher.
Then after that, the journals of the histories. That's one the name of the journal. You have to italicize.
Okay, congratulations.
The name of the journal. Just remember that
we have just
the name of the articles you should not italicize. You set in Roman type with quotation mark. Like the first one, the politics of the exist. You put the quotation before the politics and the close quotation, Palladium, and comma and quotation. And the name of the journals, you have to italicize. It's like the name of the book.
Let me finish reading.
Just remember that the name of the articles not italicized, but italicized only the name of the journal. What's about English translation? It's like the book.
Right now.
If you translate this, you have to translate. You have to put in the bracket, not italicized like in the book.
Okay, I would like to say unbelievable, Mom. How can
italize only the name of the journals? You can see the red color.
To him, I would like to know. Maybe
go fast.
With a good reason, but I don't know.
Journal title. Journal title is, as I said previously, that the title of the journal we have to italicize only.
Violated.
Yes, you can see the red color, the journals of the Mormon history, 77. This is the name of the journal. But quotations, the politics of the exist, colon, reversing the immigrations Palladium. This is the name of the article. We have to set in Roman type, not italicized. With the quotation mark.
Much longer than about 20 years ago.
I will go. I will go to the last.
7 or 8 years old.
Really necessary that. Okay.
No, over 20. About 20, I think. Just over 20 because
if you want to get more information, that I will share this slide to you, and you can study from this slide, because apart from so many that's remaining. This one I said 1 hour not enough.
After the law is finished, he come back.
Even the magazine,
about 25
department, newspaper article.
The age of the lawyer is already expired, right?
Yeah, it's expired.
That's why he came.
Yeah.
Review.
So he came like 2-3 years ago.
Abstract.
About 2-3 years ago.
City Law.
So it's about 20.
This one necessarily. When you refer from the thesis, master thesis or the dissertation, so you can see the red color. Dissertations you affiliate like this DIASS and full stop. So you see the red color, the first one. The first one is the master thesis. You see Kalen Light, Kankasi. Then quotation mark. This is the name, the title of the thesis. Cartographic representations of the curse distance in the print media. Then closing quotation. Then you put the bucket, the opening bucket, the master thesis. That means you make a reference from the master thesis. You put the master thesis. You can see the red color and comma and refer what kind of university that thesis belong to. This is so. Then after that, the year, comma, the page number. In another one, this is the PhD thesis dissertation. So it's like a footnote, but different. Only the last name, revert the last name to the first page. And the titles of the dissertations, like what a book can do, comma, colon, Silent Spring and the Media Born published debate and closing. Then you put PhD. That means PhD dissertation. And university was that thesis belong to, which that thesis belong to University of North Carolina. Yeah.
About this case.
So this is the last one. This one also is from the online. So not different from previously. You have to mention the sources on the online. Access when you open that's one. This accessed up to first 2006. It's mentioned the date, the month, the date.
Because all the popular monks are really good at talking, and he won the bet.
I guess so.
This one even necessarily interview.
Even now, if you
interviews, you can see interviews Macmillan.
Very charming, right?
Yeah, really charming. He talking about
so they said being the notes with the name of the person interviewed and the interviewer.
One of the benefits of the Dhamma.
So you interview whom?
You can give it.
Whom you interview? You put first Andrew Macmillan. Who interview? Interview by the authors, and then this one. You just put the interview by.
Some group of people
to know that this one you interview this one the interview edition.
I think so.
This is the last one. Buddhist scripture.
But this is
Buddhist scripture. We always make a reference from this. Tipitaka commentary, sub-commentary scriptures and other texts that's included in the Buddhist text. What should we do with this? So actually, this one I can start with the master who expert in the Pali language. So what should we make a reference? It's my different from previously. He said the previous reference is out of date. So we use the new one. Update this one. For example, Anguttara Nikaya, volume 2, page number 167. So what should we do? Then when we make a footnote, we have to put A. That means Anguttara Nikaya without any full stop, any kind of function. And Roman alphabet, Roman number, without full stop or any kind of function. And the page number, without any kind of function.
So in this Yanta case,
so A, second, 167 and full stop.
And can create.
So this one. So just remember there's no full stop, no comma between A until between the name of the scripture, the volume, and the page number. You just put in orders continually and put full stop at the end. And Vipanka, page number 135. So affiliate the name of the scripture available in the manual. Our manual already. If you're confused, you want to know that you can check, go to check from the manual. There's one Vipanka, then no full stop or no comma, 133, 35, sorry. So all of this we can see like this. So the first one, Samuel M. Morsi. This is the book. Samuel M. Morsi, properties and inequalities in Latin American. So the name of the book, the properties, and the place, bucket, and the place, the comma, John Higgins University place. This one, and the year, and you put the comma and the place number. 24 to 25.
In the same
But in our main runs, we put PP. But in Chicago style, we don't need to put PP.
Can I have a very quick question?
The second one, the second one is a journal.
Opinion of,
You can see the quotation mark. And until the critical inequalities, this is the book, the numbers, the number of the book machine and the page number. The third one, N.S. Kaiser. This one also the journal member journal. So the fourth one and the first one is the same writer.
Right, I guess.
The same writer. You can see somewhere A. Murphy.
About him.
The fourth one, Murphy. If the book you put the same, you mention the same book.
The answer he choose the proper.
So many pages. So many pages. For example, the first chapter, the number page 6 and number page 7. You mention again. You mention again and again. But some reference available intervene with another reference. You can see the Murphy. In Chicago style, they prefer putting the last name, only the last name, and only the choice of the name of the book.
He cannot receive his
You see, property and inequalities.
Eventually get it wrong.
You see the fourth one.
I think
Murphy, comma, property and inequality. Sorry, 43.
Follow the proper procedure for disrobing.
You can see the first one. Samuel A. Murphy, property. That's the same book.
Yeah. So I like to add something.
But if you mention the second one,
when I was a novice monk the first time,
intervene the author sources.
It was our Ajahn Yai.
You just put the last name of the authors and the first name of the book.
Good Dhamma teaching from
poverty and inequalities coming from the poverty and inequality in Latin American data. So shorten it, the name of the title. But if you mention again Murphy, poverty, Murphy, comma, poverty and inequalities. If you mention make a footnote, the same book again above. You just put the IBIT is mean the same book.
And you know what? He is my
from previously you mentioned, but continually not any sources intervene, not intervened by any sources. And you put the number 444. That means different page. But if you mention again the same page, no need to put the number of the page, just the IBIT.
We can equally, right? Not
just the IBIT. You can see the fourth number, Murphy, the fifth, the Murphy again, but different page only. So you put the IBIT and the name of the page. But the sixth one, the same page, the same book, same page.
There is some benefit.
No need to put the number of the page, just the IBIT.
Okay. Lady like us.
So the seven also the second one you see Regina M. Swas. So the seven, the same book or the same article. You put only the last name and the name of the article only.
Society is very difficult.
The eighth also only the last name of the writer, the name of the article, not the name of the journal. The name of the article and the book. The nine, this means the same. Same with the eight. Same article, same book, same page. Just put only the IBIT.
But before you do anything, don't transgress
this is the last one, sorry.
the parajika.
The last one is the case you mentioned about the different language.
Before you
different language, but you have to translate it like a Pali language. You have to translate.
Transgress in your role.
What should we do? The first one, that means I think this is the French language.
Monastic monks, you know.
French language.
I think it's okay to
so a friend here they said Abel Navangpa Achel nationalist then Jennifer Patri see like this. So then you translate in English language.
Who have caught in these problems and they
then you have to put the bucket and translate everything in the bucket and close him.
Pity. You should do it before.
You see another one, alive from the Goethe. This is the German language. Inside both meat, drowning.
He's like my hero.
Then after that you put the bucket. Who never ate his place with the tear come to mind.
That's it.
What is that writing?
Yes. You put everything in the bucket, then you translate it.
It's wrong in the proper way, right?
Okay, I finished.
I think
Sorry, I check the time because as I said initially is that 1 hour is not enough. Actually, we should have some workshop for the student that the student can take the hand to practice along with explanation that the student will know and remember to do. Yeah, thank you for that.
Right, thank you very much, Prajam Sampong Pinakalo. So he kindly gave the students a lot of useful information and guidance on the IBSC format. Let me add in. Okay. So for IBSC format and Chicago style, right? And maybe we need another workshop session specifically for this training to the students, which is very useful. So this time we would like to move on to Q&A session. You can either ask question by tapping the hand icon to raise your hand for a question, or you can type your question in the chat box and then I will read it. So please feel free now to ask your question. Maybe we have about 5 minutes. It could be a few questions before we close the program today.
Medical care at the monastery. And his health improved a lot after he went back to Japan.
Anyone?
Maybe more than one reason, right?
This is a great opportunity for you if you have any question regarding the academic writing.
Possible reason.
Yes, thank you so much, Ajahn.
Just only one reason.
Yes, please let me see who is speaking.
We'd just like to say, Dr. Katie,
Yes.
if someone wants to raise a question but hasn't enough time,
Yes.
just email me at the university address.
Yes, can you please type your email in the chat box, then they can send the question to your email directly. Okay, so we have a question from Kim. Okay, let me say I cannot see your name. So you can turn on your microphone and ask.
We can compare to this group reason.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, can you turn on your camera as well so Prajan can see your face too?
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Maybe the class don't know. It's a long story.
Yes. Now you see me?
Yes.
Social media that
Okay. Thank you so much, Ajahn, for your presentation about the reference. I'm very interested about the reference to make the book. I would like to know about the reference because Ajahn present in here so many kind of reference. I don't know which is the best to make reference to strong evidence. Therefore, my question is arrived from Ajahn at the most vulnerable Prajam Sampong. When we write article, journal, thesis, something else, if we need the best reference, the best evidence, what kind of reference we need to put, and because some people say so many kind of references, like APA, Chicago is so many kind of references. For strong evidence, strong responsibility for my thesis, my article, my journal, etc. What is the best way? The best reference to be used for my book, Ajahn. Can you understand my question, Ajahn?
Yes, very clear. You are my student.
So much, Ajahn.
Understand your language very well.
All of you.
Okay, very easy. Please do reply. Each institution they have actually every manual on manual output, but depend on the institutions which kind of the manuals prefer using for that. For example, in our universities, we prefer using Chicago style. If you use APA, your research might be rejected and are usually why.
On next semester.
Yes, but if you write some article, I'm sure they accept the APA. Not universities, they use the APA style. APA style is different from Chicago. That when you make a different, you have to make in note. Intake. That means to make a leaflet in the text, not in footnote. But Chicago style, you have to make a leaflet in footnote. So, but if you ask which one is the best, I can say everyone best. Yeah. So everyone made the standard. Whether MLA, Chicago style, and even the our main ones, IBSC style, writing, academic writing, that's the name. So that's one we, as I said initially, that we take the style from Chicago, 80%. So you can follow our manual. Or if you want to get more, you want to know deeper, so you study from Chicago directly. Recently, as I said initially, that 17th edition, this is the newest edition. Yeah, but in Chicago style is as I said, more than nearly 1,000 pages.
Oh, yeah.
So, but you can select this with the pages, which page you want to study, because not every pages are available for your thesis, because Chicago style cover all field, not only religious philosophy, not only humanities, but cover for all. All field, they use the different style. So that's why in Chicago style, not only the way to make a reference, but the way to write academic also, especially the grammar and how to use the capital term, how to use the comma, semicolon, colon. That really in detail, that one. Yes.
Can I move another one more question? Can you send out your PowerPoint?
Yeah. Okay, I will send through here the chat. You can download from here.
Yeah, this is the best way to all participants can be easy. Thank you so much, Ajahn, for your kindness.
Share PowerPoint.
Okay, so Prajan Sompong will share PowerPoint in the chat box, and all of you can download the PowerPoint from here. And so thank you, Prajan Sompong, so much for kindly answer students' question. And because it's the limited time now, so we cannot have any more question for today. So thank you very much for Professor Frank Hoffman and Assistant Professor Pramaha Sompong Kunakaro to give students a lot of useful information and guidelines on the JIBSC formats and Chicago style. On behalf of the lecturers and entire members, staff, and all IBSC students, I would like to express sincere thanks to and gratitude to Venerable Professor Dr. Pramaha Hansa Thammahaso, the Director of International Buddhist Study College, to kindly organize and host this meaningful program. Thank you so much, Venerable. And a very special thanks to Professor Dr. Frank J. Hoffman and Assistant Professor Dr. Pramaha Sompong Kunakaro to give effective sessions on guidelines to the contents of manuscript and JIBSC publication, and kindly advise students how to write academic paper for publication and introduce the JIBSC format using Chicago style. And this is the end of our program today. May I respectfully invite Venerable Pramaha Nanthakon Piyapani, Assistant Professor Dr. Director of Master of Arts Program in Buddhist Studies, to lead the congregation to pay homage to the Tipuchems to close our program today. Please, Venerable.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nathang. May I take a few minutes to say something before the closing ceremony?
Yes, please.
The JIBS events would not complete or would not successful today if no mention the organizer or the coordinator today. So may I take this time to acknowledge their name, the organizer, Dr. Pramaha Thanachip, Mahatamarakito, the curriculum chairman of the program, Assistant Professor Dr. Sano, the director of the HD program.